for him and now is a man again. Let's bring in influencer and social media personality, Ali London. Ali, thank you so much for joining us. As we see in that video, why is so much of the modern trans movement unable to admit there's actually a difference biologically between someone who identifies as a woman and an actual biological woman?
Well, there's a total difference. Firstly, there are only two sexes, men and women. You cannot change your sex no matter how many hormones you take, how much plastic surgery you have. Yet we have social media influencers like the video people have just seen, where these trans activists mock women. They also try to indoctrinate children, as we have seen recently with Biden's HHS secretary, Rachel Levine, who thinks it's perfectly okay to silence anyone that is critical of children transitioning. You know, these people make a mockery of women. They're also trying to almost brainwash kids into adopting the trans agenda, confusing kids from kindergarten, even from preschool, whether that's from books which are promoting transgenderism, drag story time, where drag queens often do very sexually explicit shows in front of minors. It really has become a huge problem. And I think, you know, America's enemies like China and Russia are laughing at what Biden's America has become. You know, when you have people like Biden's deputy nuclear waste disposal secretary, Sam Brinton, stealing women's suitcases and playing dress up, when you have Rachel Levine basically saying that children should transition and anyone that dares be critical of that should be censored and deleted from the internet. I mean, what has America become under Biden? It's a travesty.
Yeah, Ali, let's listen to Rachel Levine.
There is substantial misinformation about gender-affirming care for transgender and gender-diverse individuals. The positive value of gender-affirming care for youth and adults is not in scientific or medical dispute. And we need to use our clinicians' voice to collectively advocate for our tech companies to create a healthier, cleaner information environment.
Ali, I got to be honest, I'm not even exactly sure what she's saying there. What's your take on it?
Well, Rachel is basically saying that big tech have a responsibility to silence anyone that dares question the radical gender ideology. She is basically advocating for people that share their voice online, activists that are trying to protect children, women that are trying to defend their safe spaces and stop people like Leah Thomas competing in women's sports and stop men entering women's restrooms. She's basically saying that anyone that dares criticize should be cancelled and silenced. As we have seen recently with the Twitter files, we've seen a lot of collusion between the FBI and the Biden administration with the COVID cover-up, silencing anyone that dared question the official narrative. But we also saw before the election, Donald Trump was being silenced and the FBI was actively working with Twitter to silence people that are critical. I would be very curious to know, does Elon Musk have files on Rachel Levine and HHS? Have they been already trying to silence people? This video of Rachel was from back in May. It's only recently gone viral. So has Rachel been working behind the scenes with big tech like Facebook, Instagram, and indeed TikTok to try and silence activists and also try to silence people that detransition? People like myself.
Yeah.
Recently, sorry.
No, I just, very quickly, I wanted to get to the damage that this kind of exposure does to children, because what adults choose to do, I think you would agree, that's up to them, and they could get bad information, and maybe it's the wrong thing for them. What bothers me as a parent is children being exposed to this kind of mentality, almost as encouragement. I've heard it described as grooming, and I wanted to get your take on, is there damage in doing that?
It's incredibly damaging. And also, I have to say that Rachel Levine is a hypocrite. They recently said in an interview that they are glad they didn't transition as a child. Yet now they are suddenly advocating the opposite, that minors, in Oregon, you have 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds transitioning, taking puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy. And Rachel is now advocating for this to be pushed on children. This is extremely harmful to a child's development. And it's also very easy for kids to access puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy now. We've seen over 30 pediatric hospitals pop up over America, over 300 gender clinics within the last few years. It's big business, and Rachel is clearly being paid to promote these things instead of doing her job and focusing on the health and well-being of Americans, like all of the homeless veterans that are struggling. right now suffering. They have health issues. They're living on the streets. Why isn't Rachel focusing on that? Why is Rachel trying to groom these kids and try to force them to transition? You know, what is the purpose for that? I just think it's so harmful to children, and parents really need to speak up against schools that are doing this, against educators, and also never take a kid to a drag show, which is clearly trying to push a message on kids, which is very harmful.
Yeah. Ollie London, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.